there, I'm KingJGrim, or the guy who is about to get a new camera, hence no beauty face in this video, whatever you prefer, and Happy New Year! 2018, a new start for some, or a continuation for others. Been a while, sorry about that. Currently making an in mind of, so time is like a yo-yo. Sometimes it will not bounce back as a machine, and you'll have to manually fix some stuff. Okay, that's a horrible analogy, but anyway, I wanted to make a short video about the games of 2017 that meant the most to me, and here we are. Again, this list is not about the games that I feel are the best pieces of art, but the ones that I personally enjoyed the most, just to make that clear. There were many games that I loved, definitely more than 10, so I have some runner-ups that didn't quite make the list, but I wanted to give them some honorable mentions. ARMS, Nintendo's new non-traditional fighter. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, yeah, it's a remaster in a sense, but with enough new stuff to make it different from the original Wii U game. Torment and Tides of Numendra. I can't say too much about this game as I haven't finished it yet, but I did love Planescape Torment, so I just hope that it will be good. I might even make a video in the future, maybe in the Mido or something like that, about Planescape, but we'll see about that. And finally, on the honorable mentions, Resident Evil 7. I really wanted to put this on the list. It made the franchise good again, bringing it back to its roots, but the more action-based game in the later part of it did not make me too hot. So yeah, thank you Capcom for that. Now, with those out of the way, let's jump straight into my top 10 favorite games of 2017. Number 10, Injustice 2. As I've said in many videos, the first Injustice got me interested in getting good at fighters. Heck, this channel was once a gameplay one, primarily focusing on the DC Battle Simulator, so when NetherRealm announced the sequel, I was immediately interested and I love it. This is a AAA quality fighting game. No fighter out there has the same amount of quality in my opinion. The animations, the interactions and the characters, the story, I love it all. I do think they dropped the ball again when it came to the soundtrack being so in the background that it is almost boring, and the gameplay is still heavily zoning focused, meaning that I can't play for too long or else I'll go crazy. I adore character interactions in fighters and NetherRealm perfected it. Can't wait to try out the Enchantress and the Turtles. Though, is there a possibility of getting a Morgan Le Fay skin for the Enchantress? Pretty please. Number 9. Super Mario Odyssey. I'm still kind of pissed off that I didn't review this game, but I was in Japan, so yeah. Super Mario Odyssey is the Mario game that I've been waiting for since Sunshine, because Mario 64 and the GameCube game are my favorites in this franchise, so when they finally wanted to make another one in this style, every fan jumped with joy, including me, and it is really good. Though it ended up being a bit different from what I expected. This is the smoothest feeling gameplay I've ever had the pleasure of playing. It looks fantastic, making me wonder why Nintendo keeps making these games to their hardware that is, power-wise, inferior to their competitors. I still love the Switch more than those, just to make that clear. For you guys to understand where I'm coming from, but I digress. Super Mario Odyssey is a great game that does things a bit different than I had hoped. As I said, personally, I feel the worlds are unnecessarily too big. I think the way of getting moons are too similar in every single world, and while it has some amazing tunes in its soundtracks, most of them are kind of forgettable. But even with these personal negatives, the positives heavily outshine them. And if there's one thing I must say, it is the fact that I have never seen a game where the late game has more content than when you're first running through the story. At least when it comes to single player games. Mario Odyssey is a love letter to the fans of the older Mario games, and as I am a fan, I do love this one. Thank you, Nintendo. Number 8. Persona 5. Okay, so the longer I've spent away from this game, the less I seem to like it. Now, before you fans of the game start disliking or commenting, please hear me out. The story starts out strong. The characters are fantastically well written, and the side social links are way more intriguing than those from the previous games, in my opinion. The music is Persona music, meaning that I love it. The combat is still fun, as it was back in the good old days with the turn-based mechanics, though I still dislike the talk ability as it makes things a bit too easy. But the reason why I have started to dislike this game, partially, is one character, one twist, that makes the two first mentioned aspects, the strong story start and the well-written characters, fall flat on their faces. I can't directly say what it is, because spoiler is spoiler, but this is still a Persona game, where balancing a regular life with a fantasy setting is what I like about it. Characters can make a game, and when Persona allows you to simply spend time with these individuals, I adore it. I do hope and dislike the idea of a golden edition for this game, since there are plenty of characters that I would love to have a social link with, but I still really enjoyed this game, even with that atrocious twist. I can't understand how fans of this game seem to like this character. It made the main cast contradict their personality-driven story. Whatever. I'll just wait until the sour taste of this twist has vanished from my mouth so that I can replay it. But until then, let's continue. Number 7. Ukulele. Banjo 2 is one of my favorite games of all time, so when Playtonic Games, the developers of this game, got together and went to Kickstarter ready to create Ukulele, I was ready, and I really like it. I've already gone into details why I feel so strongly about this game in my review, so if you want to know why, just watch that. But a quick summary is that I paid for a Banjo 3 and I got it. I disagree with most of the hate it has gotten when it first came out, but again, this is a list of the games that I enjoyed the most last year, not the best games. I'm still waiting for an update to have the rap in the intro, by the way.
Ukulele! A lizard and a bat, what's up with that?
Number 6. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. So where Injustice has the best quality in any fighter I've ever seen, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite has probably the worst amount of it. At least when considering that this is a Capcom game. Horrible story, lackluster roster, music that made me mod the older game's soundtrack into this one, almost no character interaction, and it looks so ugly. So much, in fact, that I went into the files to change some color stuff and added motion blur. So for what it sounds, this shouldn't even be mentioned on the list. So why is it number 6? The freaking gameplay is amazing. I have always wanted to learn a Marvel vs. Capcom game since I started watching YouTubers play the 3rd installment, and I love it. This game proves to me that gameplay is the most important aspect of a game. As I said, I hate the soundtrack, art style, story, and the lack of interaction between the fighters, but the gameplay makes it all seem unnecessary. If Marvel Infinite had the same amount of love put into it as Ultimate Marvel 3, but still having this gameplay style, this could have been the game of the year for me, I'm not kidding. Bit sad that it probably won't have the longest lifespan, but I'll enjoy it all the way to its end. Number 5. Metroid Samus Returns. I have to make this short as I can't record gameplay from my 3DS, so I will have to use trailer footage. In preparation for this one, I played through the entirety of the Metroid Prime trilogy, and Corruption, the 3rd game in the series, has become one of my favorite games of all time, finally turning me into a Metroid fan, as I have never played one before that. So, that being said, what do I think about Samus Returns? It made me use my 3DS non-stop until I beat it. Music is perfect, Samus is freaking badass, the queen of video game characters have returned, baby! It is so good to have her back, so much in fact that when Prime 4 is getting closer, I'll make a video dedicated to the First Lady of Gaming. Number 4. Fire Emblem Warriors. So I don't really care for the main Warriors franchise, but I did adore Hyrule Warriors, and as I am a Fire Emblem fan, I did enjoy Fire Emblem Warriors, though still annoyed that they're focusing so hard on just Awakening and Fate. Wish they would have gotten, I don't know, Hector in by now, but hey, Lyn is here. I love Lyn! One thing worth mentioning is that the ability to destroy a planet is insignificant to the power of the Force. Wait, the ability to choose between a quality and performance mode is simply something I feel like every game should have if it can't play in 60 frames, because it just made such a huge difference to me. Yes, I can survive without a smooth frame rate, but if you give me an option like this, I will choose performance 1,000,000 times over quality. I'm happy that the game will have some DLC down the line, and hey, broken armor. Number 3. For Honor. For Honor was the game I probably was the most excited about for 2017, a game where Vikings, Knights and Samurai are fighting against each other? Sign me the F up! Yes, it did have its problems, whether it be the connectivity, rage quitters, cheaters, microtransactions and all of that other fun, but I just didn't care about all of that. I can say with 100% honesty that For Honor is one of the games that I've had the most fun with. Even with its weak narrative, everything else in the story was top notch, whether it be the directing, the gameplay differences, how it looks, or the character of Apollyon, who I believe is a fantastic villain. So overall, enjoyable gameplay, it looks fantastic, Viking action, and it is still going. I hope people will return to it in the future so that I can go balls to the walls against them, but until then... Number 2. Divinity Original Sin 2. How does one start with this game? I guess I could say that this is one of the best RPGs I've ever played. That the race you choose actually matters. That you can play as a freaking skeleton, where that will even change how people view you, how you have to hide behind your clothes, a hood and helmet, etc. The music stands out in the same way as the Elder Scrolls has it. The moment I hear one tone from the main theme, I get chills and just remember the adventures I went through. Divinity Original Sin 2 is on my top 10 of my favorite games of all time, and whether through modding or replaying, I will return to this game so many times, as there are so many differences based on your decisions. The first Divinity Original Sin I did not play. It looked just bland from the outside, but when I put my feet down into this world, yeah, Larian Studio, you guys deserve all the praise in this world. Seriously, good job.
Oh, you touch my tra-la-la.
Number 1. Zelda Breath of the Wild. In some way, I kind of wanted to not put this game on my number 1 just for the reason that it's so easy to predict that it will be here, but that's just wrong. This is not my favorite Zelda game. Heck, I even put Divinity Original Sin above this, but Breath of the Wild did something I did not expect. It changed up the formula and made this franchise seem like it used to be back in the days. That it's on a ground that simply cannot be touched. The gameplay here is just miles above anything I've seen in a long time. If you want to, you can go straight to the final boss. What other game gives you this freedom? The story here is a million times weaker than we've had it before. It is all tell, don't show, and that's the worst kind of storytelling. I still feel like if the game took place before Calamity Ganon appeared, the time where Link spent with the champions, all of that, I think it would have been much more interesting. Even the Champions Ballad DLC was just tell, don't show. But if you could say that Mario Odyssey's positives outshines the negatives, Zelda Breath of the Wild's positive just overshadows the negatives to oblivion. My favorite Zelda game of all time is still Twilight Princess, and I do hope they will return to that story or even game style, but at the same time have a Zelda game every now and then that will have the openness of this one. And that is why Breath of the Wild is my number 1 game of 2017. So sorry for waiting so many weeks for making a new video, but it is because of the fact that, you know, it was New Year and Christmas, all that other jazz, and I'm currently making something big, and I want to get it up to its perfection. But until then, I'm KingJGrim, or the individual who plays more than he makes, whatever you prefer, and I'll see you guys next time.